Hey guys, welcome to the video. This time I wanted to do a quick review of one of my +5 Dawnbreaker runs in M+, in new season of War Within. And I'm a fairly inexperienced healer, just now starting out as a Holy Paladin, and I wanted to make this video to kind of go through some of the things I maybe did wrong or attempt to learn from my mistakes, while also sharing kind of my journey with the channel. So let's get into it. So I actually went into this dungeon with the wrong talent spec, and I didn't realize before we had started, so I wasn't running Rebuke, which is kind of bad because I don't have an easy interrupt. So that's kind of the first thing I would suggest, is to have an interrupt, obviously. And we forgot that we could have just run out of the dungeon and respect immediately, but we chose not to do that, so it's a bit tough, of course. Holy Paladin is very nice because it has a normal melee DPS interrupt with just a 12 or 15 second cooldown or something. I don't remember exactly. This first pull is pretty easy. I think there's a debuff that comes out that you have to dispel. Being not that experienced. Also my tank is kind of low eye level here. Like sub 600, 596 or something. So he's gonna be taking a lot of damage. Otherwise pretty easy pull. You can't really skip these mobs or anything, so you just have to take them all at once. So this next part is the commanders and otherwise ritualists. Yeah, I'm kind of panicking here because I realized I forgot to change my talents. But I mean, obviously I didn't know you can change them in the dungeon, but I was just praying that it will work. And I actually I was wondering about this, I actually got I got bolted by the two mobs up here. Both of them hit me and like chunked me for 50% of my HP, which I thought was kind of bullshit. But other than that, this was not too bad. So we move on to the ritualist. Which does a targeted periodic damage thing on 2 players. Again, this is on A+5, so it's not too bad to heal. I get a seed on me, and I just decided to use Divine Shield, just because I don't want to deal with anything. Which might be a mistake. I don't know. I feel like you should just use Divine Shield whenever you can and you see a good situation for it. Otherwise, this pull goes down and we're onto the flying phase of the dungeon, where you basically just have to fly out to the 2 ships surrounding the main ship and plant an explosive. These mobs are kind of tough, but they really only have one ability to look out for. This cocoon that just came out. Also there's a howl there, I see. I don't really know what that does, but it didn't seem to have too much effect. Interrupting web bolts, avoiding the slash, which is some kind of tank debuff, I think. Overall, you can see that the druid tank takes a lot of damage, but that's just how it is. The howl went off again, but I didn't really see if it did anything besides a little bit of damage. The new Saltat orbs, of course, spawned on this boat, and we were debating whether the buff was global or not. So if you actually know if it will affect other mobs in the instance, or just those nearby, please let me know, because I really didn't know, and I still don't know. I haven't tried to figure it out. Moving out with the cocoon is good. And of course there's a curse here, but as a holy paladin you don't have decurs, so you just have to live with it. We get the second explosive down, and it's onto the first ship boss, which can be kind of tough. This is with tyrannical, but I imagine on hierarchies this this gal is gonna be quite difficult. As you can see, my rogue got like hit by the beam, just barely, and it puts a dot on you, so you have to spot heal them. Also there's a debuff here, which I actually didn't know, so my DK just has it like a really long time before I realize what it actually does. So it's dispellable, but it doesn't have duration, so you're expected to dispel it, and then the rest of your party gets an absorb shield, a healing absorb shield, which you just have to heal off. Otherwise, there's a lot of raid damage, or group damage rather. And then you have to fly out for the big boom. Pretty standard stuff. Once you get in there, I believe there's a cast you have to interrupt now. Maybe someone already did it. Another floor thing that you have to move out of. And the debuff again. Now I actually know that you have to dispel it and just deal with the healing absorb. I'm kind of stuck in a kind of a tight spot there, but I had some room to move. Another debuff, another ground pool. Now this next beam, it's sort of sketchy, but we just have to take the slow route and then move away. As you can see, we're all melee DPS, so this kind of sucks, but it's better than dying. And the orbs are spawning inside the pool, of course. And this is where things get really sketchy, because now she's gonna do the beam thing again, and it's moving clockwise, so we basically just have to tank through the pool. And I had actually used, I had forbearance, so I couldn't do the divine shield. So I just had to heal myself through it. So sadly we lose two members to that. After one shot, this is basically, yeah, she's dead. And we were arguing a bit about whether you should release or just rest here. But you can just release, because you land on you spawn back on the boat, so it's not a problem. So the next part is kind of, it's hard, sometimes it's hard to measure how much trash you're going to like body pull, because there are mobs everywhere, but thankfully you can just mount up and get out of there, even if you're in combat, which is nice. In this pack they put some kind of debuff on your party, which does damage, so make sure to keep an extra eye out for the people who has the debuff. Also fighting them on the stairs is probably not a great idea, for several reasons, but mostly the swirlers are kind of hard to see. And this boss, I believe, has the tank mechanic from the real boss. Also, Saltat spawns again as part of the mythic key affix. There isn't too much going on here. The Abyssal Blast, that's the cast that puts the debuff on you. As you can see, I hovered over it there, because I hadn't actually realized that there was a debuff before now. Again, I used my Divine Shield. Pretty much... No, it was off CD for a while. But yeah. Again, I think it's important to just use it when you're low and especially if you need to heal other members of your party. Just use it on one shield and you don't have to think about yourself anymore. There's a little bit of confusion about the routing. We thought we were moving... Oh yeah, I remember this. Our tank just like instantly dies from the trash. I think, as I said, he's a bit low eye level for this. I think he just got he probably just got meleeed to death, absolutely hammered. So there wasn't really a chance for me to heal him there. I think I got off one Eternal Flame, but it wasn't enough. So that's just I think that's a true line this entire dungeon. I just have to be very careful about when the tank is pulling, exactly when he's pulling, and just make sure to kind of babysit him in that moment. So this trash is sort of, well, really all the trash here is kind of difficult on the ground level. And they are pretty tanky. And we tried to LOS the guy that's in the back there, just spamming night bolts, but he didn't seem to care about the wall. Which is not cool. So we're kind of dancing around here, trying to make him come to us. Thankfully we have a DK which can just pull him. After this trash, I think we're moving to the lieutenant in the house over there. Again, there's a little bit of confusion in the routing, but this is pretty much our first time doing this key on higher than 2 or 0, so we were kind of just trying out what sort of route would be good. Saltat is of course trying to mess with us again. Just our warrior is pretty tight on those shockwave timings. I think if you assign at least 2 people which has some kind of AoE, stun or displacement, you're pretty much good. She doesn't spawn them that often. And also you just assign 1 backup, like with HPAL you probably have Blinding Light, which is an instant AoE blind, which is really good for crushing those Salatat orbs. The only thing you have to kind of think about is the fact that they are spawning sort of incrementally, so you have to wait until all of them are out to get max value of your AoE blind. And we're sort of just flying about, not quite knowing what we're gonna do. And I remember this pull is sort of sketchy because somehow we aggro a guy. You can see him in the top left corner here, the web mage from like behind the house. So he's just spamming us with bolts. And I think I realize it and I say something, but we eventually get him pulled in because he's just spamming bolts, and you can tell that the health bars are just... we're just getting chunked. Not only because of the bolts, of course, but because there's a lot of trash, which we didn't really mean to pull, I think. But these things happen. It's early in the season, we really don't know what the hell we're doing. So we barely managed to survive this. But again, it's really tight. You have to be careful about how much you pull. On this key level we don't have bolstering, which is good. No, not bolstering, I mean fortified, sorry. With fortified, this would surely be a wipe. Just, there's too much trash. But again, if we had... one thing I've learned is that you can't just mount up, go out of combat, just fly away. if you get into a situation where you think you're gonna die, just de-aggro and try to pull again. But we didn't really have the quick wits to do that. And here I think we're just going to take that one pack which the druid has pulled, but we end up somehow ninja pulling the third lieutenant, the Death Screamer, which is running into us right now. And I believe this pull is a bit too much for me to handle. Yeah, and also she does the ball, which just goes straight into a wall. So that really chunks us out. You can see I'm struggling for my life, or my party's life. And for a moment, it looks like we're gonna be able to do it. And I try to send the ball like down the avenue here, but I believe it hits like a little building or something. And it's so close that we actually pull through in this this kind of unintended weird pull. So I really feel like if I had been like just a little bit more geared, a little bit more skilled, we could have done that and we didn't have to waste 5 deaths. But again, this is just something that happens. I think we're looking to see if there's... No, I don't know what the hell we're doing. We're just waiting for a tank to pull, I guess. So we try again. Just these 3 mobs. I believe we were able to kill 1 or 2, so this is a pretty easy pull. So I believe we aggro some additionals in the top left corner of my screen here. Looks like it's a patrol. Yeah, we pulled it. Okay. And oh, my tank died again because yeah, I remember. So I didn't think we were gonna pull those guys, and then just suddenly we pulled them, and I wasn't prepared to spot in my tank for the incoming new melee and bolts, I believe. So I just got kind of caught off guard, but luckily I had the CR, which I could just throw down. So after this pull, it's onto the 3rd lieutenant, Death Screamer Recon, and she's the one with the big ball, which you have to send down one of the avenues, or you have to make it so that it doesn't hit terrain, and if it does hit terrain, it should be as far away as possible. So what you do is you just send it down the road here, and it times out eventually, and it does like group-wide damage, but it's manageable when it's not hitting a wall right beside you. And we also pulled 3 new mobs for count, I believe. Another ball goes kind of awry, not the best, but no one died from it, so that's good. Good AMC here from our DK. Also, these curses are kind of annoying as a Holy Paladin. You really just have to heal through them, since you don't have a decurse. We pull another mob pack, just again for count, because you basically have to finish your count before you go up to do Russian on. I think at least there is a mob before Russian on, which kind of summons him, but I'm not sure if that he actually gives any count. So we just save it here, because again we don't really know where you get count. And then it's onto the second boss, which is the Anub Ikash. And this guy can be very tough if you aren't prepared for the... Well, first of all, the frontal, which almost goes completely wrong. And also he has a couple abilities which are just raid-wide damage. And that's the tank ability, which you have to be a bit careful of to spot your tank. Shadowy Decay is just an AoE damage, so use your Aura Mastery or your Beacon of Virtue if you have that, if you use that. Here is the add cast. You don't really have to think about this, just make sure you have Consecration down. Another frontal, which is executed nicely. Prepare for a big damage, there it is. And Saltat will again spawn her orbs, but the warrior will probably take care of it, yes. More rewind damage, which I barely am able to out-heal without any group-wide defensives. I sort of blown my load on the earlier trash packs, and as you can see, Aura Mastery is still 15 seconds away. More ads, which are probably followed by the Tank Buster. But the tank is full HP, so won't be a problem. Ooh, I does get chunked down to 30%, which is kind of bad. I get the frontal, just aim it down the avenue. It's pretty easy once you know what to do. And remember that even though you aim it down the road, there is still unavoidable damage when it eventually times out. So you still have to be prepared for a group-wide damage, which could be significant on hierarchies, but in plus 5, if done correctly, it's just not too bad. And this is the last mob, essentially, of the dungeon. It's got an AoE pulsing damage around 2 targets, just spread. And a Solar Paladin, your should make sure not to be in melee. I found it kind of hard to see if you were targeted by it, but I think that's just my little wigs or my Wikora not being too good. I have it here, but it's sort of hard to see when other things are overlapping. I'll just do a quick little drink, because I know that this boss is going to be sort of tough. But, you know, if you're over 50%, you can basically handle any fight. Especially this one, which has an intermission where you can basically just fly. And you will regain mana passively. So the main thing to look out for is this ability, the Rosy Spray, which is group-wide damage. If you can, you should try to take a barrel as well, as I did, because those are really the most important part. And here I actually have to check this again, because oh, it might be because he shelled it. Yeah, okay. So there seems to be a bug where well, you're supposed to get a marker and the wave will go towards the green part, but it looks like if you immune to it or do something like that, the marker won't show. But again, there's a lot of AoE damage here, and it does a Rosy Spray again, so I had to use Aura Mastery, but I actually end up dying because I didn't heal myself, basically. And my teammates are so low, but I had to wait to take the battle rest just a little moment. And I think we get the last explosive in here, which means that we can do the intermission part. And I usually just fly directly down to the burial site, or whatever it's called. You just have to make sure that you are absolutely confident they can make it in 10 seconds, because if not, the debuff is just gonna kill you. So just figure out where you have to go, just go there immediately. If you don't want to do that, you can just follow the boat, which will it will cleanse the debuff, so you don't die. But down here by the boss there's a guy with a light, which will also dispel that debuff. So the last fight there, we're 1 DPS down, no combat res. But I feel this phase is actually easier than on the boat. I don't think it does the... Yeah, it does do the erosive spray. I don't know, somehow I feel like there's less damage going out there. You have these webs that they deal AoE when they break, but it's not really that much. So here it's basically just don't mess up, and we got this in the bag. The erosive spray is still kind of damaging, but not too bad. And now, since our warrior died, we have to handle the Saltat orbs in a different way. But as I said, my blinding light is very good for dealing with those. So I definitely recommend that you spec into that, especially in a PoV group. So you can take the orbs if... yeah, either on first rotation or as a backup, just in case no one gets it. Or there are stragglers. I don't recommend using it on like 1 or 2. In that case, just use your Hodge or Interrupt. But if there's like 3 or more, I would definitely use my Blinding Light. Just to make sure that the enemies don't get buffed. Yeah, again, this fight is not too bad. You just move out with green, move out with webs. Make sure to AoE heal when there's an erosive spray. So our damage is kind of lacking here because we're 1 down, so getting him down to 60% felt really slow. Good webs. More orbs. I don't have my blinding light, so I believe the boss gets buffed. Yeah. Oh, we actually got 4 buffs. That's that's really bad. Good thing he's basically dead. And you don't seem to get the strand debuffs here, the webs, which is kind of nice. You can just focus on healing and dealing damage. Last rolling acid here, and I think it's dead. Yeah. So we timed it with 4 minutes ago. So it seems the timer is kind of lenient here, which was good for us. And yeah, so that was the run. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope to make more of these. I know I will be uploading at least one for a +4 City of Threads, which I thought we had a much smoother execution than this one. So look forward to it.